Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to commence and some people are still enjoying the refreshments, and I'll take a minute more to just to brief you what's happening in MMA as usual so that you don't miss them. We lined up some outstanding event, and in fact, a few days back we had our Women Managers Convention. We had about 375 women managers attended. If you are not attended, just watch it in YouTube. You'll really get inspired. We had some outstanding speakers share their thoughts on different subjects, and including 11-year-old world champion in chess, including some of the people who are the lady who wrote Jayo, Tanvi Shah, and also Jaggi was their daughter. I mean, some interesting things came out, and I suggest you can watch the YouTube channel and see. I think anyway, next month you'll get all the articles. Let me tell you what's happening at MMA next few days. And on 23rd, we have a nice event on discussion on wise wealth, where Geetanjali Vikram Kirloskar, she is chairperson, managing director of Kirloskar Systems, and one of the great corporate leaders. She is going to be coming, and along with Rammohan Krishnan, Ganesher, Aarti, Lakshmi Narayan, and we got a very good panel. They'll be discussing on the wise wealth and going to tell you some outstanding stories of how you make things, what is the use of so many corporate leaders who have really raised a lot of wealth. Then we are on 24th of March, we have Sustainable Initiative MSME Growth. Andhra Chamber is happening by Jaishankar. 26th March, again we have a very, very interesting event, that is the Mirror Within. There's a slight change in timing we have done. We are trying to experiment so many things, and this event will start at 4 o'clock in the evening, 4 to 5:30, because there's more discussion on the book. We would like to slowly shift the discussion on the book to the 4 o'clock sessions and keep the big event 6 o'clock sessions, because multiple events are coming. We're not able to accommodate so many requests. We don't do so many events also in a month, and it costs quite a bit of expense on MMA. An event of this nature, what I do in the evening with IT and live webcast, all that cost me about $1.5 lakh actually. So we are trying to really rationalize and get all the things. So we'll be having at 4 p.m. and discussion on the mirror within. Unless an outstanding event, we won't do this. The mirror within is unveiling the hidden perception through image audit. I know how many of you know what is image audit. It's very, very important for a corporate leader to know what is image audit. So it's happening at 4 to 5:30, then followed by IT at Terrace Garden. Come and think, we have got outstanding panel. Prime Point Srinivas will be talking about this book. He's the one who's written the book based on our pushing. The MMA told me to write a book on this. That's why we are doing this. And Ashokan, the editor of Kumudam, will be there. Priyadarshini Rahul, Supreme Court advocate, and Sivakumar, our member committee, will be there. This is happening on 26th March at 4 o'clock at the Terrace Garden, 3 p.m., 4 p.m. at Terrace Garden. Okay, so look forward to seeing you there. And it's also live webcast. So in case you're not able to come, you can't say I'm not able to come. It'll be live. In case you're not able to watch it live, it will be available in YouTube for you to watch it anytime. So it's all win-win situation for each one of us. The time change really doesn't affect you actually. Okay, so this we also want to do something new every time. Then on 27th, our own Gopal Krishnan will be coming and talking to us on very, very interesting book, Chanakya and Sun Tzu, and he's also on Business Lens, and along with them, Nirmala Isaac and Shastri Ramachandran, who is a China specialist, will be coming. Then on 31st March, we have MMA Leadership carries the Krishnamoorthy Foundation. J. Krishnamoorthy Foundation, we started a leadership series just to bring in the thoughts and principles of J. Krishnamoorthy. He strongly believed in different leadership traits, where he said, somebody bossing around and getting the job done. He said everybody is equal in an organization, so that the organization will really flourish. And this is happening at J. Krishnamoorthy, where he lived in Chennai. And I suggest you go and visit that place itself. You will find so much of peace in you. It's called Vasanta Vihar. It's happening, and it's also the same place where other side of Vasant Vihar is all the members of ministers and all live there. Opposite to this is this house. That is also Vasant Vihar. This is another Vasant Vihar, so you can come and listen to this. Very good. Then on 9th April, we have Ponce 6th Narayanan Memorial Endowment Lecture. And another interesting subject, Santanam, former CEO of St. Goban, is going to be talking to us. 15th April, we have another event on reimagining hiring at AA. We have Bala Tanjore. Bala Tanjore is very, very close, worked very closely with some of the best of the brains in USA. He's with us. And Steve Jobs, he was next to Steve Jobs and did a lot of work and thing, and now he's started his own thing. He's going to be telling us what's happening in Indian automation, AI, and a lot of things that is happening. 21st April, another series of Read and Grow. Then on 24th April, we have a discussion on Enlightened Manager by Viswanath Alluri. So it's all some of the events what's happening, and I think most of the people have walked in now. Now coming to today's event, Read and Grow. You all know why we do this series Read and Grow, because we strongly believe to be a great leader, you have to be a great leader. What I feel this thing we are doing more for management students actually. But I find many management students are managing themselves somewhere. We find a lot of other people only here. But doesn't matter. At least people are here to listen. That's what we want. But ultimately, this series is for management students. I hope people who are watching, the professors, lecturers, the management student members, we have more than 3,000 student members. We have 3,000 student members we have. And I'm sure students will think at least for a second and see that they should invest 1 hour and come and listen to these books. It will be good. Because ultimately, what is outward mindset, it will really help them. There is always inward mindset where you always think about problems in turn. I know Babu, Ramsar are going to be telling you more. Outward mindset will really help you to manage things, people. Help you to think better. Help you to what's happening around you. Because it will be a good leader. You should have an outward mindset actually. And today the panel, we have a very, very good panel. We'll be going to be discussing with you is on this very, very important subject. And I am quite sure at the end of the day when you go out, you'll be thinking, ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together to welcome the fantastic panel for this evening, Mr. Babu Krishnamoorthy, Sherpa of is also Investment Private Limited. We have got Sivakumar Palaniappan, Leadership Keynote Speaker, Growth Coach and Corporate Trainer. And also we have Mr. M.L. Raghavan, Head of Digital Business, Sun TV Network. May I request the dignitaries please take your place on the dais. Before I request Babu to take the thing, and can I have the AV of the distinguished speakers for this evening, please? Can I have the AV?
Mr. Babu Krishnamoorthy is the founder and chief Sherpa at Finsherpa Investments, a boutique wealth management firm serving high net worth clients in India and abroad. A chartered accountant with over 25 years of experience, Mr. Babu has held leadership roles across investment banking and wealth management. Mr. Babu is also a best-selling author and thought leader in personal finance, known for guiding individuals on building long-term wealth. Mr. Sivakumar Palaniappan, fondly known as Siva, is a sought-after leadership keynote speaker who has inspired over 10,000 professionals across India and international markets. With over 2 decades of experience, Mr. Siva partners with organizations through Siva Speaks and Influence Global to build purpose-driven, future-ready leadership. Known for his authenticity and powerful storytelling, Mr. Siva blends behavioral science with practical insights to drive meaningful personal and organizational growth. Mr. M.L. Raghavan is a seasoned business leader with over 3 decades of experience across digital media, advertising, and marketing. Mr. Raghavan has led Sun TV Network's digital business, driving the growth of Sun NXT, forging strategic partnerships, and building high-performing cross-functional teams. A former senior vice president and managing partner at JWT, Mr. Raghavan brings deep expertise in business strategy, P&L management, and media transformation.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's a profile of our outstanding panel for this evening. And before I hand over, let me warmly welcome all the people watching it live. As usual, if you have any questions, send it to our people. And I also shared about the program. Please pass it on to your members. And especially if you have a student at home, please tell them next time to make sure you attend this event today. And if all the audience who are here, if you have any questions, there will be a QR code. Just scan the QR code and send your questions, and the speakers and the panelists kindly agree to respond to all your questions. Only we request you to please make sure that it's relevant to the thing, not on Iran war and how you are going to get gas and all will be there. Maybe after the meeting you can discuss with them, they'll be able to share their insight. So before we proceed further, we would like to honor the guest for this evening. We are going to give them more books only. And I want to request Babu's daughter also to come onto the stage and give a book to your dad, so that it will be a great moment for you to, be a proud daughter to present the thing. And also Venkat, you can join me. Please come. You want to come? Come, step forward. Come, please. Give your dad this. This is a CSR initiative made by poor children studying in the school. This is a book published by MMA. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now over to Babu for a very, very enriching evening. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Group Captain Vijayakumar. Always energizing to hear you. Vande Bharat speed at which you cover so many topics is just outstanding, amazing. I just want to start by thanking both good friends of mine, Shiva, Palaniappan and Raghavan, for making time not only to be here this evening, but also to kind of read a book, right? Of course, I owe another thanks to Shiva, because he is the person who suggested this book to me. Many a times we're running short on time, we're running short on inspiration to pick the book. So thank you, Shiva, for that help, and thank you, Raghavan, for being here, apart from reading this. As the host for this, my job is to give a small introduction about the book, the context of why we're all gathered here and so on. And before I invite thing, and the format that we have always followed is to not be verbatim about the content of the book, because then that doesn't serve the cause. What we are going to do is use the book as a backdrop and get our own experiences to talk about. So that's really what, and debate about the book in that context. So this book is, in some sense, builds on the concept of mindset. And for a very long time, the belief has been that result that we derive out of our work is based on behavior, right? How we behave is how we derive results from our work. The book tends to add a factor or add a layer saying that behavior, yes, but it's really about the mindset that even guides behavior. So really, mindset is far more important, far more foundational at that. And if you notice, this book is does not ascribe itself to one single author. It is done by an organization called Arbinger Institute. And Arbinger Institute is an institute in the United States. It's been in existence since 1979. It's a global leadership development institute specializing in mindset transformation and enhancing organizational culture and performance. It's done a variety of stuff in terms of engagement with its clients, its employees, corporates, and so on and so forth. And it's now present in over 24 countries and has its services offered in over 30 different languages, focusing entirely on mindset shifts that drive collaboration, accountability, and results. And like I said, it's a 45-year-old institution. So that's the background. So the point which I'm trying to allude to is that there is a lot of science and data that has kind of been put into the outcome of this book. Like I said, this is about mindset more than what is the influence of mindset on outcomes is what this book is all about. And it strives to position a certain amount of mindset change that one needs to kind of evolve in order to see the best results. And the book kind of dwells into two aspects, like we are aware. Since the topic is outward mindset, it also dwells into what is inward mindset, and then kind of argues between inward mindset and outward mindset and what are the big differences between the two. We are going to see that as we chat more. I'm not going to let. It also provides a framework that is in short called SAM. American institutes and novelists are famous for creating frameworks. This book is no different in that. So they talk about what is called a SAM framework. C approach, adjust, and measure impact. So these are the three aspects, adjust approach and measure impact. So these are the three aspects of framework that the institute provides as a framework for mindset change. And through this book you have endless stories through which they have brought this point of how mindset shift has tremendously changed the way not just individuals, organization. We talk about a police assault team, SWAT team, of how using principles that are applicable here has been able to transform their image among public and their own activities in their own eyes. So that's quite a transformational journey. So I think I'm going to pause here because I have two esteemed panelists here, and I'm going to go back and sit with them and go a little bit more deeper into this subject. With that, thank you so much for being here, and I will go into that place and start. Shiva, since you recommended the book, you get the first chance to speak. So your initial thoughts on this book and what appealed to you in this context?
I picked up this book when I was about to do a leadership program for a corporate client, and then I was studying and researching a lot on leadership mindset. That's when I bumped to the book, and then I picked up the summary of the book somewhere from online. Then I bought the book, and then I started reading the book. What caught my attention was the book is so very simple. It is not too complex in terms of its concepts, very simply written, but I found it very powerful because the very idea of defining this inward mindset and outward mindset with clear examples was appealing to me very well. I think that's one reason. Second one, I could find whatever is told in this book, right? Both the mindsets could be easily applied into our own personal lives and also in the corporate professional world. So the immediate application, utility value was also appealing. I think that's why I picked up this.
So take Raghavan's views. What are your initial thoughts? This book was absolutely new to you, Raghavan. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I think that's when I reached out to you.
Yes, you did.
So your thoughts?
At the core, it's something that's very, very true. I think the whole thing stems from the simple principle that for any kind of success in any organization, you need to carry people along. And that can happen only when you are able to empathize with them. And empathy comes only when you understand what their dreams, fears, passions, likes, dislikes are, and be able to give them the fairly, you are evaluated not on a annual basis, but on a quarterly basis. You're a hero now, next quarter you're down, you're out. I mean, that's the way, unfortunately, that's the way the world functions. But this is far deeper. And for any long-term success, I believe that it's a tougher path to take. It's not an easy path. It's easier said than done. But when you're able to carry people along, success becomes easier because they are committed. They have skin in the game. And when that happens, success is quicker, it's more long-lasting, and it is far more fruitful, rather than being driven by one person's vision and dreams and everybody else follows. I think there are some very, very nice examples. The Ford example, for example, really, it really resonated with me because I was in JWT when this entire shake-up happened at Ford, and he was brought in, and one has read a lot about it, the way he transformed the company, of making people accountable, own up to their problems, and then be part of the solution rather than being dictated to. I found that to be very appealing, but it is a tough path, but it's definitely much more long-lasting.
Thank you, Raghavan. You know, one of the things as I was reading this book, a couple of quick thoughts passed my mind, and I just want to share with you some of those thoughts. Recently, I happened to see a movie called Raghavan. I don't know how many of you all have seen that. It's a Tamil movie. And a lot of what I read in this book, I could resonate with that movie, or what I saw in the movie, I could resonate with the book. That is, most of the time we believe doing good or understanding the other person and being empathetic is not so important in life. But the movie is all about that, about empathy and the softer emotions of life. And this book actually resonates that same thought, is that to be successful, to get people on your side and collaborate and work with them and be a team, you need to put yourself in their shoes and be able to do that. And one of the examples that I could think of is that Microsoft has had 3 great leaders in its history running the company. One was, of course, Bill Gates, to start with, the founder. Then you had Steve Ballmer, who was the CEO for a long time. And Steve Ballmer was a typical American capitalist kind of a guy. Go get it done, or go to the door types, right? So either you do it or you get out of the way. Very simple, very upfront, very American in nature. Then Microsoft brought in Satya Nadella, right? And there were a lot of people in those initial years who said Satya Nadella is too soft a leader for a large capitalist organization like Microsoft to succeed. Because Satya Nadella doesn't raise his voice, doesn't shout or doesn't give grandiose plans. He actually listens to people. Therefore, people initially, I don't think, kind of gave him the kind of, what shall we say, evidence that he's going to succeed ever, right? But over the last maybe 10 or 15 years that he has been in the helm of Microsoft, Microsoft has continued to lead in a very, very obsolescence-driven kind of industry. 2 years, you're not on the ball, you can be out of business in the IT industry. And, Satya, in the midst of that, has garnered such a very large company using his own trademark empathy. And if you ask, I I was speaking to a senior leader of Microsoft maybe a year ago, and he said one of the principal strengths of Satya Nadella is he comes with a great degree of empathy to any of those meetings and conversations. He really understands your point of view. But he also said very clearly that at the end of the day, he will understand your point of view, but he will make you understand his point of view too. And that's the success of the leader. Right? So this aspect is reinforced in this book. And I used to earlier think that to be really successful and to really be that star performer, star organization, you need to be an authoritarian guy, right, at the helm. You have to be a CEO who doesn't care, doesn't understand whether it's raining or sunshine. You got to go out there and achieve stuff. Or like Steve Ballmer, get out of the way, right? Quit and go. We want things get done. But more and more we are seeing that organizations that have leaders who are empathetic, who are able to understand their people, are able to buy in that people power and are able to better collaborate as an organization. After all, more and more we automate. Today we are more a people-driven economy, people-driven culture. So from that perspective, I thought this book had a great thing. And also, I wanted, Shiva, if you could give your perspective, and preferably if you have some stories along with that, where you can resonate personally with this. And if you can elaborate also on the SAM framework.
I'll come to Sam a little later, but quickly, the premise of the book is about this keyword you see, outward mindset. The author tries to elaborate to help us understand outward mindset by also defining both inward and outward mindset. I'm going to ask few quick questions. I want you to raise your hand and say yes as loud as possible. Are you ready? At least say yes for that. Yeah? Yes? Okay, good. So, have you, see, when you go to a common public washroom, right? Maybe in a train or a plane or a wedding hall or some hotel, some movie theater, how often you see the washroom is not flushed properly by the previous person? Have you come across the experience? Yes? Good. So when you go to a public event and you park your car or a scooter somewhere and when you come back to pick it up, then you see somebody has parked their car, front of your car, blocking your vehicle, and you are stuck there waiting for someone to come. You don't know whose vehicle it is. Have you been there waiting for someone to give way for your vehicle to be taken out? Yes? All of us. I usually go, I live in Velachery, I work out at Cult Fitness in Velachery. Every morning I see a group of people come, they pick up all the weights, do a lot of workout, they go back and dump all the weights in the floor, they go away. It's not racked properly on the shelves. Have you seen that happening? Yes or no? When you are on the road, when you want driving, you always see others want to go first, then give way for others. Have you seen that? Exactly. So what the author says is, a lot of us or most people in the world have this inward mindset where they always want them to be there, taken care. I want my comfort, I want me to be there. And these people look at the world around as objects. For them, everybody else is not people to relate with, connect with. And the inward mindset is you always ask a question, how will I win? How will I get success? How will I become in the limelight? How will I can be comfortable? So every thought is, you put a circle around you and you live in that circle concerned about you all the time. That's your biggest priority. But if you are in a public washroom and if you had a thought, okay, I'm using this public washroom, after me somebody else might come and use it. So I'll properly flush it and clean and come outside. When I park the car, okay, somebody's parked the car already. If I park in the front of the car, he will not be able to take the car outside. I'll not park there. This is very simple. If I go work out in the gym, I know after me somebody will come and work out. I will replace the weights properly in the right place, designated place. Which means I am not only thinking about me and myself, I'm thinking about somebody else who will come after me also. Are you with me on this? This exactly is what the book says, outward mindset. In the corporate world, if you are a manager, leader, professional, are you thinking about your own self, your own growth, your own benefit, your own visibility, or are you seeing everybody around you as fellow human beings and people, and are you considerate about their needs, their wants, their priorities? How are you considerate about everybody around you, right? I think that is the fundamental premise of this book when they talk about inward mindset versus outward mindset. The whole idea is in the corporate world, if you are operating with an inward mindset or in a personal life also, you will stuck in one small circle, right? Because man is a social animal. We need people around us. We need to network. A lot of things has to happen. And look at, again, as Captain said, a lot of countries who lived an inward life is now struggling to get things done in the crisis now. If you are an outward looking country, building relationships with everybody in the world, then you can get things done, talk to them, get support actually. So I think this concept of inward thinking or inward mindset and the outward mindset applies at every level, individual level, an organizational level, even in our own families and homes, or also the national global level. I think that's the premise on which the book is built. I'll stop here. Sam will come.
Raghavan, your thoughts.
Yep. Actually, Shiva triggered something very interesting I've experienced, and it's probably very true of India. It's a bit harsh, but I think most of us, from the examples he gave, which all of us experience, we are extremely inward looking as a people. I'll give you two small examples, and this is based on travel and something that really surprised me on two holidays when I'd gone, and one was to a small resort island called Bali. And you know, it's not the West, it's not London, it's not New York, it's not KL. It's a small nation. But one of the things that really hits you is when you travel inside that city, and the roads, some of the roads are like the roads you would find in Triplicane or Mylapore. Small. There are houses on the sides, exactly like us. There'll be agarbattis outside and all of that. No matter what the traffic is, you don't find people honking. They also go to work. They are also in a hurry. They don't honk. They don't cut across lanes. They wait and they drive. And the houses, when you see them, when you travel past them, the shocking thing was there's not one piece of rubbish that's there outside the house. Not once have I seen it. And we spent a week there. We traveled across the length and breadth of the island. No banana peels, no dog poop, no plastic covers, nothing. Absolutely clean. That comes from empathy. That comes from the empathy, from the fact that I believe that I am part of a larger community. I need to do something that doesn't just help me, but also helps the others, impacts others in a positive way. And similarly, recently we had been on a holiday to Australia, and the discipline, the road discipline that's there really, really hits you. It's a westernized nation. You would be crossing the road and there'll be a car coming that's probably near the door there. They will stop, and across the windshield he'll wait for you to say, please cross. That doesn't happen in India. You'll be reversing, there's a two-wheeler coming behind, he will try to cut through from the back, invariably snap your bumper, do something or honk. You know, it's a very fundamental, I think that percolates down to organizations also, which is why probably it's more challenging in a country like India to the need, or it's far more important to carry people along, because each one has his or her own dreams, desires, fears, worries, challenges, problems. to get that person to focus in on the company, understand and empathize that nothing is achieved by an individual but by a group, and to be able to carry them along, I think is the truth. I have experienced it a lot of times in life, especially when you're at a leadership position and there is a challenging environment. You can sit in your cabin and howl and shout and cry and do and whatever you want, but the guy outside, if he believes that's not my problem, it's that guy's problem, you're done. It's over. He has to be able to relate to you. For that, the leader has to be able to relate to what that man wants. He has to feel that this man understands my life. Let me now try and understand what he is going through and see what I can do to contribute to it. I think that's the challenge. And I think Shiva made a very, very good point. And we experience this hugely in a lot of places. To the extent that the gym example, I also go to the gym regularly. You have in every gym, every 3 feet or 5 feet, you will find noticing, please re-rack the weights. Don't leave it on the floor. You will never find these things abroad. And washrooms is a great example. It's spick and span. They are also human beings. Agree, they are lesser in number. But I think it's a cultural shift. I think it's happening with the current generation, be it littering or anything else. That empathy factor comes, and therefore, in organizations, you find the younger generation being able to relate better to the problems of their bosses and therefore contribute better. If that's not there, then you're lost in today's world.
Fair enough. I think sets up a good conversation and a good context for what we are discussing. Incidentally, on this context, since he spoke about the traffic, I live in Adyar, and because of this metro work, a lot of traffic changes have been made, and the lane outside my place is two-way traffic, and it's always congested, and sometimes there's a movement of traffic which is slower. Vehicles tend to go a little slower. And I don't know about you, but everywhere I find that there is always somebody who wants to take the right and go on the other lane and go further, right? And we know how counterproductive that is going to be, because there are vehicles coming on the opposite side. The moment you take your vehicle off your lane and go on the opposite lane and try and get a few paces up, you're blocking that traffic, you're blocking your traffic, and everything gets to a standstill. Somebody has to jump off their vehicle and get down and reorganize the whole traffic. Everybody loses in the bargain. If everybody had gone in the same lane in a disciplined manner, probably it may have been slower, but you at least keep moving. But because some of them decide that, I don't want to understand the other people's problem, I will take my way, and they go on the opposite side, it ends up everybody having to kind of being delayed by about 20 minutes. And that's the cost, that's the price we pay for not being empathetic. And I just wanted to kind of set that example, because we were talking about traffic and stuff like that. But it's very ironical, Shiva and Raghavan, we come from a very ancient culture where we have revered our gurus. Tree and nature is considered in some sense a deity of sorts, right, for us. In the midst of all this, I would have thought that India should be leading the way in empathy and the way we deal with and so on and so forth. In the mad rush to grow and be capitalist in whatever we do, are we losing touch with our reality of where we come from or where it is? Just as a context, right? So there are only two situations I've seen in India. One is either you put a yellow color thing around a tree and all of us make sure that the tree becomes God or deity and go around the tree for our exams. We have a lot of students here, so students go around thinking you get extra marks if you kind of do. Or simply cut it off, right? If you need something to be done, if there's a road to be done, no two questions asked, you just chop off a tree, right? The tree could be a 50-year-old tree, 80-year-old tree. We don't look at alternative solutions to that. So my question to you, Shiva, is that especially in the Indian context of where we come from, maybe 30 years, 50 years down the line, I don't know, I think we would have been far more empathetic. Is there a loss of empathy that we see now? And this whole approach, this outward mindset of understanding the other person's perspective. And in this context, I'm not only talking the other person as an individual, I'm also talking about nature, right? If you keep chopping off trees, we eventually run out of oxygen. If you kind of do that with animals, you're going to run out of, we're all interconnected in some sort. So
I think one is cultural context, as Raghavan said. Second important context is the competition, the world around that we live in. Whereas the Western countries, when you go, the resources are plenty. They don't have to fight for every single opportunity. But for us, it is not the case. I was thinking about this actually. I was thinking, can I go to somebody who's waiting for a train in Mumbai, local train, and say, have an outward mindset, think about others, don't rush and get captured. He or she can never go to the office actually, right? They have to run anyway, push others and run and catch the train. If you ever been to Mumbai local train, you'll understand what I'm saying. So, So problem here is, right, what we have done, Babus, we have reserved our empathy to extreme situations. When there is a flood, when there is a cyclone, when there is a COVID, we are still empathetic. We go out of our way to support people, help people. But on a regular days, we are busy with our own work, running to catch up with our meetings, our clients. I think that's how the world has become. So I think practically expecting everyone on the road or also in the gym or in the public place to have an outward mindset is not practically possible in my understanding, because we are such a huge population, we can't go and impact everybody. We started Swachh Bharat Abhiyan many years ago. Now we know what is happening there. We couldn't change, right? I think that's how we are all. We are conditioned for centuries. We lost touch with our own value system. So that's how we are, because we have to survive. Next morning, so everybody is running for their own requirements and needs. But what I understood from the book is, there are places where we can be outward thinking people, in our family, in our workplace, with our colleagues, with our fellow member in the cubicle whom we work with. Can we be more considerate? Can we think about what they need? Can we think about our customers and clients? I think in that context, we can be more outward thinkers. And if possible, as Raghavan told, Babu said, the context is mindset, right? Can we inculcate all these young graduates to have a very fundamental mindset of think about other people also. Of course, we have to compete. If you want to go for a NEET or a CAT or a JEE, you have to compete, you have to be on the top. It's true. But can I do it without pushing somebody down? Can I do it without disturbing somebody? Can I do it without pulling somebody back? So I think that is where we have to create the thought process of having this outward thought mindset in young generations.
I'm going to give a small example. I mean, that's very true here. We have different age groups sitting here. It's heartening to see some of the older folk who are actually focused, and some of the youngsters who are here who have just come in. We do live in I was telling Babu some time ago, we do live in an attention deficit economy. There's too many things fighting for our attention. I did notice a couple of students here. They spent more time scrolling on their mobiles than they were actually listening to us. I mean, what's the point? I don't think we stand to lose much. I think the impact is that. I mean, that's where I think the word empathy comes into play. You need to empathize with the fact that there are three men who have taken some time and who are actually sitting here and talking to you about something which may add value to your life. And it's somewhere you need to be able to understand that and internalize it rather than making it half-hearted, sitting here but not focusing. They are losing out. I don't think this panel loses out on anything. I think it starts from there. When that habit happens, that's what gets carried over to your organization also, because this is what you will end up doing at work also. You will be sitting in meetings, you will be scrolling through Instagram, you will be looking at your messages, hoping something comes in from your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your folks or your friends or the movies that you have to go to. It's gone. You've lost that opportunity there. I think it's a question of discipline, which needs to get inculcated. And if a leader is able to inspire that in a person, I have been to meetings with very senior people who make it a point to come in for the meeting without their mobile phones, for example. If that meeting is for a particular purpose, you come there, you attend the meeting, you contribute, you listen, you finish it, go out and do what you want to do. There's no this and that to be done. That's probably something we need to learn from the West. Most people abroad, we'll all be surprised. Work starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. 8:30, they start work. 4:30, they're out. They switch off. But between that time, when they start till they move out of work, they're completely focused on that. And within that environment, if you're able to empathize with what that organization is looking for, and you're able to relate your own dreams and ambitions with that organization, then it's a success. Everybody stands to gain. If there is a disconnect there, then we have a problem. What happens mostly in education, in management, in organizations. I think that example that Babu gave about Satya, it's an interesting small fact about Satya Nadella. I think he lost a child also. He has a special child. And I've seen people with those children. It takes a lot to be able to be patient, empathize, understand, relate, and build a certain bond. You could be a parent, but it's still a challenge. That it means a lot. That patience means a lot, that's probably what Satya Nadella brings to the table at work also. The ability to listen, not hear. There's a huge difference. You can keep hearing things, but listening is different. You need to be able to internalize what is being said, understand, take it in and see what it means to you. And if you're at a workplace, it's your duty to figure out saying that, okay, this is what is being said. This is what it means. What can I do to add value? Eventually the results will also come to you. But I think that's the trick.
Well said, Raghavan. I think I'm just going to lay out a framework, because the book talks about a framework, and all American authors are all about frameworks. So the SAM framework, and I want Shiva and Raghavan to elaborate on that. So SAM framework is all about three components to it. taking on this. It talks about see others, right? It's the S stands for see. Observe. We are all in our workplaces, we have colleagues. At home, we have either a mother or a spouse or somebody who is kind of contributing. So this see others talks about observe what they're doing and find out if there is something that you can do to help them understand their situation and be of support, be proactive in your approach to helping them. Can you kind of look at ways? The A stands for adjust approach. So can you change your approach so that it is not detrimental to the other person? On the contrary, it contributes in some way to the other person. Can you find a way to contribute to that person? And last, it says measure, M, S-A-M, measure stands for find a way to measure if this really makes sense. We all do things which we believe is helping somebody, but ultimately, unless you ask the question, is it really helping? And this talks about the story in which a father takes the daughter for basketball. The two comes dutifully every day in the evening and spends an hour playing with the two daughters basketball. And then after a long period of time, the father, while he's putting his children to sleep, the daughter whispers in his ear that you don't like me, in a very tired situation. And the father is astonished because I do so much for you. I come early from office, I spend time, we're playing. And the girl whispers that I don't like basketball, right? So, we may think we're doing somebody a service. We may think we're doing something good for the other person. Do check. So the M comes for measure. Can you measure? Can you ask if this is really helping? Sometimes, in many instances, we believe we're doing help. For the last 1 week or so, I have taken up trying to diet. You can see from my frame. Every person who visits me and gives me a box of chocolates or sweets isn't really helping the process, right? So, in their mind, what they're doing is great. But like I said, we need to ask and measure, is this really helping your cause in that sense? So SAM, SAM stands for this, and I think it's Americans are great at these naming conventions so that we carry back that, quite easily remember that stuff. So the book talks about this whole mechanism of can we all adopt this SAM framework in our daily life and start kind of seeing how we are able to add value, and that brings vast improvement not only in your life but also in the life of the person with whom you are engaging. So I just wanted to put that as a context. Shiva, if you can give your thoughts and elaboration on SAM.
I think, yeah, as you said, typical Western world talks about framework and models and acronyms all the time. It's good. SAM is about seeing and then measuring, adjusting and measuring. I was just reading this book, and there are a couple of stories, as you said, and the whole idea is right. For example, I give an example. Imagine I go to Finsherpa, Babu's office, as a good friend of mine, to meet him. When I go to Babu's office, in my mind, what do I have? I'm meeting Babu today. He's a good friend. He has a lot of good connections. He will refer me to some big company. I'll get business. Is that my thought process? Or when I go talk to Babu, Babu says, Babu, how is business? No, I'm working with this one big client for the last couple of weeks, a huge fund house. I'm not able to reach them. He's not even asking me anything. I quietly come back, and on the way I think, is there anyhow I can help Babu on his goal? He has certain goal that he's working on. He casually shared it with me. He didn't ask me any help or support. But then I proactively think he's a good friend of mine. So is there something I can do out of my own curiosity, my own interest, to help him succeed in his journey of what he wants to do? That's what C is, right? I'm seeing that I can add value to his journey, his life, or I can add value to what he wanted to accomplish. And then I come back and ask, what can I do then? If that is what I can see, then do I have someone who I know in the big fund house, or can I do something to connect with him or enable him to crack that open and move on? And then I also again come back and see, is that helping him a lot? That's what SAM is, right? I see that I can help him, and then I create an opportunity to go and help him, and also come back and see, is it really helping him or not? That's what SAM is all about, right? If you have an employee in your team, your office, ask yourself, what is that employee is looking for, he or she looking for? What is success for them? Are they having a career growth plan? Do they have a growth aspiration? Do they want to learn? What is that will make them happy, will make them successful? What do they need? You look at that need, and then as a leader manager, you go and help them and address that need for them. And when you address that need, simply you enable them to perform for the organization. That's what this book talks about, the outward thinking leaders, right? If you are an inward thinking leader, you only ask, how do I grow? How will I get promotion? How will I grow to next level? How will I become vice president, senior vice president? I get more salary, I get more stock options. But if you're an outward thinking leader, you always think about, how do I go and enable my team members and help them grow? So when they grow, I will also grow in the organization. That's exactly is what this outward mindset in the corporate world. And the simple framework is, look at opportunities to help somebody or enable somebody, and then do the activity and come back and measure, did he really help them or not? That's what I see SAM as one nice model.
Yeah, I just want to add to it. Very, very, very true, Shiva. I mean, to my mind, I'm just going back to the Satya Nadella example, and I was also reading a lot about his success. I think the critical part is his ability to listen, but also make you understand his perspective and point of view. You know, because organizations have an objective. That door is the objective. Sitting here, there are 10 different ways I can approach that door. If I have a bunch of 10 people with whom I need to work with to get to that door, an ideal leader is somebody who is able to understand the maximum number of people in that 10, what are they comfortable with, how do they go about reaching their goals and objectives will eventually help me reach this organizational objective. That's the path of the least resistance, if you ask me. Because by doing that, you make sure that they have skin in the game. I think the critical part for any boss or any organization or any leader is to make sure that the team has skin in the game and they feel committed, they feel accountable, they feel responsible for what they're doing. And it's not something that we usually joke about it in our government offices, about our government offices or banks and all that. You know? We're really not bothered. I mean, I'm just coming here, I'm sitting here, I have to come here at 9 o'clock. I have to disperse cash, I care two hoots whether the branch is doing well, not doing well, it doesn't matter. It's not my problem. It's a manager's problem, it's the board's problem. That's not the way it works. Today's world, it doesn't work. Today, accountability comes down the line. Because organizations are also very, very clear. They're saying that if the branch doesn't function, then sorry, we shut this branch, you're out of the job. The organization will survive. So, if leaders are able to co-opt their employees and teams into this, make them understand, at the same time, take a path towards that objective that they are most comfortable with or they are able to do well. Forget comfort. They're able to do well successfully, and that's the best way to go about it. Sure.
Your final few words on this book and what you would recommend for leaders.
Like I said, this is it's a tougher one. It's not easy. In a crunch situation, in any organization, when you have your back against the wall, the most difficult thing to manage is a bunch of people who are disconnected with the reality that you're facing. I think therefore it's important, like I said right from the very beginning, to carry people along. They need to be feeling that they have a stake in this. I'm not talking stock options. I'm saying they need to believe that this office, this branch, this organization, this company is part of their DNA, and therefore it needs to do well for them to feel good and do well in life. I think that's the critical part. To be able to not pass on the pressure, but pass on the reality in a manner where people understand but don't panic. That's what happens, and it's challenging in today's world because any life cycle is shorter now. I mean, you take movies. There was a time when Shivaji Ganeshan and MGR and others were heroes for God knows 3 decades, 4 decades. Today you have heroes coming in for 1 movie, 2 movies, and it's a hit. There were years when I was growing up when a movie is considered a hit when it ran for in the same theatre for 1 year. Today, after 1 weekend, they are calling it a super hit. So, the life cycle is much shorter. Across, it could be products, it could be careers, it could be organizations. So to be able to do this within that time, carry people along, and to be able to achieve that as a group is what, it is a challenge. It is a difficult thing. But one thing is very sure. If you've managed to crack this part, success is far easier and much more long lasting. Because you never achieve anything as an individual. It's always teams that win. Individuals don't. Teams win. The beauty is for the leader to be able to percolate down the line his dreams, objectives in a manner where they feel committed to it and carry it along. Now, of course, a leader needs to have vision to take the organization the right path, but I think that's the important thing.
Shiva, your final comments.
Okay, final comments as a trainer, workshop leader, I'll give you an activity and assignment. Are you ready for that? Say louder, yes? Okay, good. So today what you will do is, right now, think about one person with whom you work very closely with. Could be somebody in your family, your friend, your colleague, somebody in your office. Just think about one person who you closely interact with, work with. Have you thought about one person? Yes or no, everybody? Yes. Now, good. Now we'll apply the SAM formula. See what is that he or she is trying to achieve. What project they are into now, what goals they are working on, what aspirations do they have now. Just think about, see what do they want to accomplish now. Okay? And next is A. Can you do something to enable that happen? Without going and telling them, I'm going to help you, don't declare, don't publicly announce, quietly, proactively, in a subtle manner, can you do something to enable them to progress a little faster, go a little better in the journey? Number 3 is, okay, wait and watch, how is this helping them? Simple example I'll give is Babu's on diet now, okay? He disclosed to all of us. I'll tell her daughter, how you can help Babu is, every day before Babu comes home, you close the kitchen. Okay? 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you finish your dinner early, close the kitchen before he comes home, so that he will be able to continue his diet process effectively, right? Simple example to quote. So think about one person in your circle who you want to enable them, help them, see what they want to accomplish, and try to do one small enabling activity or action with which you can help them progress forward and quietly see, is it working? Is it helping them? Can you do more? Can you do better? I think that is how you apply this SAM formula, maybe in your quick inner circle. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiva. I think. Please give it up for both the Raghavan and Thing for giving us such a very beautiful picture. The only unfortunate part is we have spoken so much about the book that I do wish there is more in the book, so do buy the book and read it. The objective of this exercise is not to discourage you from buying the book, it's actually to kind of be a precursor to help enable you to buy the book. So we have a few questions. I'm going to kind of quickly read that question. I will ask you, Shiva, this. What daily practice from the outward mindset helps leaders stay focused on collective well-being over self-protection? T.S. Karthik.
I think one simple question is, whenever you talk to anybody, work with anybody, always ask, how can I help them? How can I enable them? One important question will help you to think outward.
The next one comes to you directly. Mr. Sivakumar, from your workshops and retreats, can you share a powerful example where a shift in mindset created a measurable impact in an organization? Sara.
Connected to the book actually, but still you want me to answer? Yeah. I was doing a very important...
They're visibly impressed with your...
So I was doing a very important workshop on communication skills for leaders in ERCAD for a group of corporate employees. It was 2-3 days workshop about communication, like Raghavan said, empathy, listening to, understanding them, putting yourself in their shoes. It all happened and then the workshop concluded. After 3 months, I get a call from a young participant and says, Siva, do you remember me? I was there in the workshop. Oh, I didn't remember his name. I said, oh, is it? Okay, tell me, how can I help you? This guy said, after the workshop, you literally saved my marriage. What happened? I was recently married when I came to your workshop. Lot of fight going on in my family with me and my wife. Disagreements, arguments, we're about to divorce. But when I listened and learned about listening, empathy, understanding the other person, I went and applied all these corporate lessons in my personal life that completely changed my relationship with my wife. We are happily married now. Continuing our marriage now, right? I think that is not, of course, a corporate result, but was a very big happy moment for me when somebody came back and told me, from what I learned from you, I could apply that in my life, and that really transformed my life. I think that's one example I keep quoting all the time.
Okay. Thank you, Shiva. Well done. Marriage counseling is a new course you can start as well. In addition, Raghavan, next question is to you.
Yeah, it says, Mr. Raghavan, how important is a customer-centric thinking, core outward mindset principle, in scaling digital platforms like SunNext? It is absolutely everything. In fact, just to give you, we are going through the world of home entertainment is going through a tremendous shift from content that the previous generation used to watch to the content that the current generation is watching. There's a world of a difference. Unless digital platforms are open, it could be long format like SunNext or Netflix or Hotstar or Amazon, or it could be Instagram Reels, or it could be short videos. Unless you are completely cued into what is resonating with consumers now, there is no way you will achieve any success. Because the investment is the same. The time and effort is the same. But if the content does not resonate with that customer, it's down the tube. Doesn't matter. The customer is not bothered how many millions you spent on making that content. The customer watches it and is able to relate to it. Yesterday I was watching some news reel, and there's a new film called Thai Kiravi. I don't know. It's one of those hits that happened apparently in Collywood, which is waiting for a big hit for a long time. These are sleeper hits. No major Radhika Sharat Kumar, but yes, she is well beyond her prime. And it's a small budget film. It's a rural centric film. It doesn't have the star cast. It didn't have the hype, all of that. But it's done consistently well. I remember in Sun, a film called Tiruchitrambalam was made. Dhanush, and what's a wonderful film. I mean, I'm not saying this because it's part of Sun, but a brilliant piece of content. It didn't do, it started off, it had a fairly ordinary start for a weekend, and then it picked up momentum. That's the power of word of mouth. That is the understanding. Something about that content was so real and resonated with consumers that they came back by the thousands, by the lakhs to watch it, and it became a super hit. That understanding needs to be here. From the directors or the cast or the production point of view, that customer understanding was there. If that consumer-centric thinking wasn't there, that content wouldn't have come out the way it came out. It's everything. Unless you have a customer-centric approach, there is no way today, especially in a business, in a B2C environment, that you would succeed. Because the options are so much. It is not like, the days when, I still remember, I'm going to give you a small example. During my formative years when there was Olium, and there was Chitrahar, and there was cricket, and there was Doordarshan. The biggest brands in the country for a cricket match had to book spots with DD, with a storyboard that needed to be approved 3 months in advance, block the spots for an India-Australia cricket match on day 2 in the morning session. The match is in January. We used to book it in September, August. And then DD will tell you, we'll let you know. Last minute they say, sorry, no slot. That was monopoly. Today, where are they? Today, you say, by the time you say Jackrabbit, you'll have channels and platforms in front of you saying that, okay, we'll give you the content, why don't you give us the advertising? That's the difference. There needs to be a consumer-centric approach without which there is no success. And what role does leadership communication play in shaping outward mindset? Absolutely critical. Leadership communication is everything. Unless the leader is able to communicate, unless the leader is able to walk and mingle and be a part of the team, if you are isolated, then I think the employees lose out and the organization lose out and the leader loses out. Unless the leader is able to communicate with the organization, with his people, clearly set benchmarks, talk about his own dreams, talk about what he believes the organization has to reach, that's absolutely critical. There is no way that can happen without this communication.
Thank you, Raghavan. We have another question from Prabha. If there is one mindset shift that can immediately improve team effectiveness, what would it be and why?
I think the team effectiveness improves only when you move your people from me thinking to we thinking. Right? We all have individual KRs in the organization, individual metrics defined for individuals. But I will always recommend, while you have individual roles, responsibilities, also have collective goals for everybody so they can work together. Don't let your team members work in silos and accomplish their goals and they get their own promotion increment. Don't let that happen. It'll encourage what you call small pockets of talent. So the point is, can you by design create that collaborative thinking that will enhance team effectiveness?
Thank you, Shiva. So I think this is the last question we are going to answer. Mithun. What are the early signs that a team or an organization is operating with an inward mindset? So typically, the inward mindset means that usually if things are going wrong, then people are looking at which individual should I blame? Who should I blame for the problem, right? So it's a very regressive kind of a mindset that happens. And similarly, if it's doing well, then somebody is trying to take credit for it. An outward mindset, you are looking at how to solve the problem, how to help solve the issue, or you let the team kind of take the credit for it, not necessarily the individual. So this is the big difference between organizations that are inward thinking. So inward thinking organizations rarely succeed in a big way in the long run, because obviously people are working under fear that if something goes wrong, I'll be blamed. So people don't go beyond their brief. And any organization where people perform under par is unlikely to really become world class in that sense. So that's the quick answer for that. With that, I think we're completely out of time. Thank you so much for all of you being here, and to all the people in the online space as well. And thank you to Raghavan and Shiva for sparing your time and reading the book and being here. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Babu. Since you have already thanked both the other speakers, I'll thank you for thanking them, and also for this lovely session that we had. I think it's been a fabulous session. Many of us may not have understood the context when they said outward mindset, what it is. But the way these speakers have brought about the difference between what is the inward mindset, what is the outward mindset, with so many examples, both from the book as well as from their corporate careers, looks like it's been a fabulous, it looks like it will be a good book to read actually. Like Mr. Babu suggested, many of the books that we pick up here, most of them are actually authored by people from outside India. We've taken a conscious call to do that for reasons which I can personally explain to you some other time. We want to get the best of the books to be discussed here. That's one reason. And idea is not to ward off people from reading the book after listening to this, but maybe to draw people to pick up these books and read it in detail. Because in 45 minutes time, we can only do that much justice to the book. So today's session has been, I think, fabulous. A lot of good discussion, a lot of points that came about from the book. Hope all of us will get a chance to pick up the book. And let me tell you, like Group Captain Sivakumar, where he let off while he went actually a few minutes ago. He said, the students should take more interest, like Mr. Raghavan pointed out. You take all the effort coming here. What is the point if you are not able to take away something from here, right? And this session that we do every month after month, there is a lot of effort that goes. The book that is going to be discussed 2 months hence has already been decided by somebody. Now that person is actually scouting for the speakers who will be interested to buy and read the book and discuss it before you all. So please understand, we are all here just for about 45 minutes, 1 hour to listen to them. But there is almost 2 month effort that goes on behind selecting these books and coming. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. Just want to put it across so that you keep it at the back of your mind whenever you see this Read and Grow series coming, so that you can encourage more and more people. And there is no embargo for this session. I've been telling everyone, please get as many guests as you want to, there is no problem, because here we are only propagating book reading. Though our sessions are mainly meant for members, we would like to have more students, we would like to have more people to come and attend these sessions, at least the Read and Grow sessions. So thank you very much. Thanks once again, Mr. Raghavan, Sivakumar, and of course, Mr. Babu. Let's give them a big round of applause before we break off. Thank you so much. Please reach back home safely until we meet again.